5 minutes.
Thank you. Let me begin on the market making issue. And again, I want to stress one of the things I think we should be looking at is the extent to which liquidity is a goal, and as I believe, the erroneous notion that, well, liquidity is almost like the magic word. If it increases liquidity, it trumps other considerations. But market making is clearly a very important, legitimate liquidity function. And the concern is that, I've heard voiced, even though you collectively say you respect market making and that it's going to be important, because of the ambiguity, because it depends on motive, that people will stop short of what you might allow because of fear of excessive regulation. So let me ask all of you, do you believe that if the rule were to be adopted substantially as proposed, you could administer it in a way that would allow market making, legitimate market making activity to go forward, and as that happened, give the institutions the confidence that they could continue to engage in it? Let's start with Mr. Tarullo.
I believe we can.
If I could interrupt for just a moment, some of the members are having trouble hearing, so if you can pull the microphones close and sort of speak up, it would be to our benefit.
Is that better?
That is better.
Okay. I think we can. The rule, the proposed rule, as you can tell, is informed by an expectation that there's going to be an iterative quality to its implementation. That's why we're asking each of the firms to develop a compliance plan that is consonant with the principles and factors that we lay out in the proposed rule. It's also why we're going to be requiring reporting so that we can monitor how different kinds of market making are in fact proceeding and give us the opportunity to monitor whether this is or is not market making. I think the combination of the conformance period and the firm-specific compliance will allow us to, over time, develop the application of the rule in such a way that that legitimate market making should be.
And it is your intention to protect legitimate market making?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Chairman Shapiro.
I really don't have anything to add.
Pull the mic, pull it closer, don't lean over, pull the mic.
Sorry. I agree completely with Governor Tarullo. I think we can administer it in a very rational way. We're not intending in any sense to be doing trade-by-trade analysis to look at every transaction to see if it's proprietary trading or market making, but rather to collect data that will allow us to see over time what the trends are.
Let me just ask, because SEC enforcement has come up, people have been saying you've got to be tougher. If some bank in the process engages in activities which it turns out weren't market making, what are you going to do to them?
Well, I think it would depend upon a lot on what their intent was. Was their intent to violate the Volcker Rule, or was their intent
so if it was
to engage in market making and just get it wrong sometimes? And we have no interest in pursuing activity where people are intending to provide market making services but get it wrong.
Chairman Gensler.
As the CFTC has done in other rules, we hope that when we finalize this, it will be a policies and procedures approach, that these banking entities have to have policies and procedures to ensure something, but that they actually are the ones ensuring that they can do market making. I believe that's critical, but they're not doing proprietary trading. But I would say we're going to be informed by the comments as well. I mean, this is really important, as we say, to get balanced and get right. So if people point out that we don't have it right, that we make adjustments.
But also in practice, I guess part of it is what's the mindset that you approach it. That is, I think it's important to affirm that you all agree that market making is legitimate and that you understand there's an ambiguity there. And so people should not worry about getting too close to the line, because an inadvertent crossing of the line, especially in the early phases, isn't going to bring forward some terrible punishment.
I think that's correct. I think even Congress addressed that, because there's a conformance period that the Federal Reserve will oversee, but that conformance period is not one with a lot of teeth.
Thank you, Mr. Gantz. I'm not sure about the implications of even Congress, but that's okay. Mr. Grunberg.
Congressman Frank, I think it's important to underline that there is a 2-year compliance period for these companies to implement.
A little louder.
Yeah, there's a 2-year compliance period provided by the statute for these companies to implement the rule. So in some sense, there'll be an extended period of engagement between the regulators and the companies. Another point to make, you know, we have standards of $1 billion to $5 billion of trading activity. At the end of the day, it's going to be a relatively small number of large companies that are going to be impacted by this. So we're going to have an opportunity to work through this process. At the extremes, it's clear when it gets close.
Let me just, if I could, just for a few seconds, I don't want to exclude Mr. Dugan.
He was my
Mr. Dugan, I'm sorry.
predecessor,
We did
actually.
exclude Mr. Dugan. Mr. Walsh. You should think from Massachusetts I could get those names straight.
And in any case, I agree with all that has been said. Of course, we appreciate the distinction. We're very keenly.
But let me just to summarize, if we have 10 seconds, Madam Chair. I think it's very clear. If people don't like the rule, don't like the rule. But if you look at the implementation, if you look at the way our regulators have worked, the notion that people are going to be scared away from doing market making because of an excessive rigidity, I think has no real foundation. And I am encouraged to know that these 5 regulators all are committed to making sure that market making goes forward and understand the importance of a regulatory framework in which people are encouraged to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Backus, for questions for 5 minutes.
Thank you. I would say to Ranking Member Frank, famous last